The goal here is to check to see if we have any nuclear engineer or physicists today. It's not really a requirement for Basecamp Manager. And I put this slide in when I did the TLI simply as a kind of lighten the load. This is not really difficult. What we want to do, though, is to make sure that you have a good understanding of how this can actually help you track what people are doing in the Pathways program. Our objective is to just do the stuff that's there. The biggest thing that you need to learn out of this is how to approve a level change. So when someone completes either 3 or 4 speeches and they finish a level, an email normally goes to the Vice President of Education. And I need to call Toastmasters International and figure out how to make sure that that goes to more than just the VPE. It should go to the VPE President and Secretary. Then we'll talk a little about how to do feedback and reporting, external training, and some help. There is help for this program, so that's a good thing, and it's actually very good. So we're going to start at the beginning, and we're going to talk about approving level changes. What this does is when you go into Toastmasters International website and log in and go to the Access Your Path through Basecamp, you'll click on whatever club you're in. If you only belong to one club, it's easy. It's complicated for me because I belong to more than one. And you're just going to click on Log On as Basecamp Manager. Once you do that, it's going to pop up this window. There are 3 blue buttons here, and they're kind of big. And I hope you see this clearly. If you can't, I'm going to read what they say. First button says Pending Request. Second button says Member Progress. And the third button says Manager Tutorials. So we're going to talk about the first button, which is Pending Requests. When you click on this button, and by the way, I'll send this presentation out to everyone as well, this is where you actually approve a level change. Now, this slide happens to show some fictional person named Martin Eckhart who's completed level 1 of motivational strategies. Now, it is not my purpose here to determine how your club determines when someone has completed a level. I can tell you what I have done and the people that I work with do. We basically scan and email all of the evaluation forms that have been completed. Remember, they're not in a book anymore. Scan and email these to your Vice President of Education or the person who's going to be approving the level change, whoever that may be. I send them a copy of my evaluations, and however the process is in your club that you approve these with is your business. It's certainly not mine. Once you've made the determination that they have met the requirements to approve this, what you'll do is you'll go to this little green check mark over here on the right-hand side, and you'll click on that. Once you click on that, it will pop up a little window that says Approve Request. Now, what Toastmasters International recommends you do here is type your name and your role. You can also say congratulations to the person if you'd like. Then you just click Submit at the bottom, a little button, and you've now approved that individual's level. That's it. So click on a green check mark once you're satisfied, type your name, say congratulations, click Submit, and you're good. And that's all there is to approving a level. Now, this is something, there's something that I need to tell you for new members that are working on Pathways. especially when you get into the pathways modules themselves, there's a pre-assessment and there's a post-assessment. And what that's designed to do is to measure what you know before you started the icebreaker or whatever project it is, and what you know after you complete the project and you've given your speech or speeches. So when you do that, what you need to do is you need to make sure you take the post-assessment. If you don't want to do the pre-assessment, that's your business. I recommend both. But if you do not do the post-assessment, it will not allow you to complete that project. So in other words, when you complete the project, it gives you a little check mark next to the icebreaker. If you don't do the post-assessment, it won't do that, so you can't go through and complete the level. This is a cause for frustration for many folks in the past. Moving on, I'm going to talk a little bit about feedback requests. So we all know, well, if you don't know, Pathways doesn't really change the meeting, the Toastmasters meeting. But this is a little different twist on things. We all get written evaluation, verbal evaluations by an evaluator in a meeting. This is an opportunity, if you want to get additional feedback from club members, you can do so. So what this does is allows you to type people's names and offer them the opportunity to provide you additional feedback. Now, in the middle of this presentation, you'll see something that says managers. And this is where you get to choose who sees your feedback responses. It can be you by yourself, it can be the Basecamp managers, or it can be everyone. Completely your choice. Somebody may need to mute their audio, because I can hear a bunch of clunking and typing and stuff. Probably somebody eating lunch, which is perfectly fine, but may be helpful to everybody. So this is where you would ask for feedback from a speech in addition to the written feedback you've already had. I do not use this, but it's something that can be used if you choose to. Once that feedback request has happened, then you can actually click on this, and then it will pop up a window where you can type feedback into that individual, and then when you click share, it will share that with whoever he or she has selected, whether it's themselves, the managers, or everybody, kind of their choice. And that's all there is to the feedback portion of this. It's just additional feedback you may want to use. Member progress has to do with how you track where people are at in the Pathways program. So this is the second button of the 3 buttons we looked at. You click on member progress. Now there's a key piece here I want to show you. If you look up here in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see something that says options. It's a little down arrow. When you first come to this screen, you need to click that down little button and select refresh. And you probably, in my experience, can go get a cup of coffee or a bottle of water while it's refreshing, and you'll be okay when you come back to your desk. What that does is that updates all of the different individual and screens. And you need to do that no matter which one of the 5 choices that you pick on the left-hand side. So when you do this, what this does for you is it allows you to update and look at people's progress for levels 1 through 5. And in the next slide, what you'll see, in this particular case, I'm only showing a couple of them. there is a little button that's up in the upper right-hand corner where it says Level 1 in progress. It's hidden until you mouse over it, and that allows you to click, and I think I show it here in the next slide, and it pops up a choice of View Details or Export into Excel. I always choose Export into Excel. And then when you do that, it will pop up Excel or Numbers or whatever spreadsheet program you use, and it will show you, here's the level 1s or 2s or 3s or 4s or 5s that are in progress. Now, the graph is really fun. What I care about is scrolling down through the list of people and where they are, basically who's doing what path, and then the percentage that they have completed. So obviously it tells you in each path who, it doesn't tell you who is where, it tells you what path is in progress at that particular level. Now, in this case, we're just looking at level 1. And I believe what you would see here is it shows that motivational strategies as well as strategic relationships both have completed almost all of the level 1. So you can futz around and look at that. I just combine this stuff and use that as part of, in addition to the spreadsheet I use to track all of my other members that are pursuing goals for the DCP in the legacy program. You can kind of find a way to put it all together and make it work. However you choose to do that, you know, whatever works best for you. Now here is the second tab, which is called Path Progress. This shows who is where on what path at what time. Again, all of these things are exportable into Excel if you choose to do so. When you get to status of all paths, this shows you all of the paths, and when you export that, and it will list everything that everybody is doing. Again, these are just nothing more than reporting. You click refresh each time you go to a separate one of the 5 items, and then export into Excel. If you have any further questions about the reporting, I'm happy to help you with that. I'm just going to try and move on so we can cover as many questions as possible. This is external training. This is designed for people who give speeches outside of Toastmasters clubs and other organizations. And one of the things you can do here that is so helpful is when you go to education transcript, you go up to this button up here in the upper right-hand corner and it tells you basically add external training. When you do that, what it allows you to effectively do is you give the name of the discussion you're giving, what you're giving it for. For example, I was very blessed to be able to speak at the Naval Postgraduate School for work. And when I did that, I would put in the information here. I can attach copies of the presentation I'm giving, any other ancillary documentation, and then it's up to the Vice President of Education and the President and Secretary. They can discuss this, and if they agree with you, they can authorize this training to cover one of your speeches and pathways. It does not require a Toastmaster to be there as an evaluator, which I think is kind of a really added benefit. While it's nice to be evaluated by somebody, you know, you can do it a couple ways. I also, in cases like this, try and videotape my presentations with my phone or laptop just for my own ability to get better. But this is something that you can do for your members, which I really enjoy. Again, when you get to this requester screen, this just gives you a list of all the information that you can add in. You then send it to your Vice President of Education, and you can see I've had a couple that I made up here. And then just like you approve a level, you click the green check, type your information, your name and role, and click submit. Just like we did when we approved the level. This shows where people have actually given the training. That would be test 1 training here. They say they've completed the project, and then they can actually mark that project complete because it's already been approved by your Vice President of Education. And then it counts just like a regular Pathways project or a Toastmasters project. Now, you can also look up the status of all external training in your Pathways reporting, and then it'll tell you when things have been completed and when they have not. There are 2 kinds of help menus in Pathways. So you have the kind in the upper left-hand corner where it says tutorials and resources. Those are for absolutely anyone who uses the Pathways program, and that's for the members. If you look at the 3rd button on the right here, it says Manager Tutorials. These are little video vignettes and things that will help you learn how to do things in Pathways. A prime example of this is someone completes a Pathways level which you approve. You can actually go in here, and there's a little video for it. Type in the member's name in the search bar, find that individual, and you can print the certificate out for them and have your president present this to them at your next meeting. Kind of a neat thing. So, you know, they can also print the certificates, but you can print them out as the club leadership and then hand them over. So when you get into the Basecamp Manager tutorials, these are the 5 or 6 different main tutorials. Each one of these has several tutorials listed underneath it. And then there are the user tutorials, which we talked about up in the upper left-hand corner. So those user tutorials tell you how to do everything in pretty much several different languages, including French and simplified Chinese. This slide is just kind of my perspective on all this. You just kind of got to jump in, move with it, and join the dance. So my presentation is done. I would give you guys time to take a quick screenshot of this. This is my email address, my work cell phone number. I will send you the documents here, and I'm going to send you this presentation so that you can click on this and take a look at some useful tools. I've kept my Zoom account. It's not very expensive, and I can host up to about 100 folks on it. So please take note of this. Like I said, I'll send this presentation out with everything. And now I'm going to open the floor for questions.
Hi, Tim. This is Ken.
Hi, Ken.
I got a question about Basecamp allows you as a user to scan your reviews, whatever they are, and upload them to some kind of file folder. Are those available to the Basecamp manager?
Technically, no. They are not. And I believe there's a choice that you can select who can see those. It's up to you whether you upload them or not. In my experience, at least the people I know, we have not done that. You know, I don't really care who reads my reviews. but just for me, I guess I'm kind of a little bit old school there. I have not posted any of my reviews up there, but it is possible to do.
Thank you.
Everybody, I'm going to shift over now to the web from, so just bear with me a second here. I'm going to close the PowerPoint, and then I'm going to shift right over to my my web thing. 1 second here. All right, let's see, share screen, and let's see. Here we go. All right. So I'm just shifting over here so that we can talk about whatever you guys would like. I'm really open to talking about anything. Like I said, I've done a good bit of this. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. So fire away.
Tim, I got another one for you. This is Ken.
No problem, Ken.
You talked about validating, because that was a question I had, is how do you, in the old school way, you kind of had some paper trails that you'd pass on to the VPE.
Correct.
So you have your own, and we don't have a process yet. We're kind of trying to figure it out. So your input is really helpful. In your club, it sounds like you tell people, all right, you got to save your reviews, whatever they are, and when it comes time to cross a path, I want you to scan them all and send them to the VPE. Is that?
Yes. Well, we have a couple of different things that we do. Our club, Plain Talk, uses EasySpeak to track people's speeches. I what we have also done is scan and email the evaluations, because I nor our VPE necessarily remember all this stuff. We don't remember what speeches. We can go look, and it may say that you've done those speeches, but we just like to see the reviews. And there's a good reason for that. When you get in level 1, your first speech is an icebreaker. Your second and third speeches are what they call evaluation and feedback. That is where you give a speech, get feedback, add the feedback into the speech, and give it again. And then there's a third part to that project, which is you act as a speech evaluator for someone. If you think at it from a perspective of a new member, that's a really good thing to do. Then finally, the third and last project of level 1, and this is the same for all 10 pathways path, is researching and presenting. So you research a topic you're interested in, and you make a speech, or it could be a presentation to the club. The speech evaluation part in the second project it was not really clear to me that everybody got that. So that's one of the reasons I started asking to see people's evaluations, to make sure that they didn't miss that part. Especially for a new person, they need to get comfortable with evaluating people's speeches. And that's how I see it, as making sure that they've actually done their due diligence. It's not really because I think they're trying to escape anything. It's just, let's make sure that you've really done this right.
Yeah, I appreciate that, because I did fall into that trap.
Yeah, happened to me too, but I went back and fixed it.
Yeah. Oh, is there a way to go back and fix it? I just, what they told me, I called Toastmasters, and what they said, I pre-approved the whole thing, and I'd only done the first of 3 sub-projects. And they said, no, there's no way to undo it. You should just go do the work.
No, yeah. What you do is I also did the same thing with a couple of projects. No, you just go back and do it, and then you have the paper trail to, for me, it's not so much of a proof thing. I mean, usually people say, oh, I'm sure you did it, Tim. You're fine. I do it for a couple of reasons. Number one, I then have an email of mine so I can prove, should anyone ever ask, that I actually did the stuff. Number two, it does document it with the VPE that I've also done this stuff. So if there's ever a question, you're pretty much covered. Plus, I like to see it just simply from a perspective of making sure that we help people get the full user experience here. That cover everything for you, Ken?
Yeah, I think so. Thanks. Yeah, basically, the club procedure is kind of an interesting space for me that I have to go and put some work into.
Yeah. I hear ya. Not a problem.
Yeah.
Any other questions? No problem. Any other questions? I guess silence is golden or something. I don't really know.
Tim, I probably have another one, and we might be wandering off. Is there? We're just starting in our club, and I'm anticipating like a variety of problems that people are going to have to wrestle with. We've kind of I can figure out how to turn on and off my pop-up blocker, because I know that is someplace I stumbled, and I know some others stumbled. But where are the typical places that people stumble?
Sure.
Trying to use this.
Okay, in my experience, the biggest stumble that everybody makes has to do with the post-assessment. I'm going to log in as a regular Pathways member. If we need to go out back again, that's not a problem. So I'm just going to log in and go to a path here. Okay, so when you go into your education transcript, and then we're going to scroll down and pick a path. Let's go to, I think I've got presentation mastery down here. Okay, and I'm quite a ways through this one, so bear with me. But when you go to level 1, especially when you do your icebreaker, this can be extremely frustrating for people. Okay, when you actually go in and launch the module itself, can everybody see the module coming up? It should say congratulations on your screen.
My screen shows a black box still.
All right. It may take a little bit.
Yeah.
It should say congratulations and a couple people trying to clap their hands. Oh, hang on. I got to start the resume. I think I got to resume the screen share. One moment. Let's see. Here, let's see if this does it. All right. Now you should see it. Do you? It says congratulations. Yep. Okay, great. So I'm going to show you here. I'm going to go back towards the beginning. This is where your assess your skills before. I recommend that you go through this and answer the questions, and and then what it does is it allows you to measure where you're at when you get to the end. This is where I was when I started. This is where I am at the end. And when you get at the end, and there's all the stuff in between. I'm not going to cover that at the moment. When you get to the end, you're going to say assess your skills after, and then it will go through and help you to assess your skills. Shows where you were before, where you were after for like 4 questions. And what you do with this is if you do not do the assess your skills after, It will not complete the project, and I'll show you where that is. 1 second. I'm going to have to change my screen sharing here. No problem. Here we go. I see somebody has been chatting in the chat window. 1 moment, please, and I'll try and find that. All right. Okay. All right. So if you do not do that, it will not allow you to have this little checkbox next to the icebreaker. So that's kind of an important thing. And if you don't get the checkbox for the icebreaker, it will not allow you to go on to any of the other following projects. So the only 2 projects that are like this is you have to do the icebreaker project before you do anything else in this level. And when you get to level 5 at the very end, you have to do all of the projects before you can get to the reflect on your path, which is your absolute last speech. Everything else in between, you can do any of the projects in that particular level in any order that you happen to choose. Make sense? Any further questions? Hearing none. Is there anything anybody would like to ask about anything to do with pathways? I am happy to help in any regard. All right. If there's nothing further, I'd like to thank all of you for attending, and I hope you found this valuable. I seem to have...
Sorry.
No worries.
Well, I was on mute. Thanks so much, Tim. It helped a little bit. I still think I'm going to have to do it on my own.
Well,
but it's a good start. Thank you so much.
Not a problem. And you may, you know, like I said, I leave my email, I leave my phone number. I'm very busy at work, but if you call me, I will call you back and answer your questions. Or if you send me an email, okay, I'll answer your questions. This is a new thing for everybody, and I did my master's degree online and taught college and technology and help people that may or may not know how to do a lot of technology. So I'm happy to help in whatever way. I certainly have gone to clubs and presented this stuff. So whatever works for you guys, just let me know.
Okay, and you're doing another presentation on pathways this afternoon, correct?
Yes, tonight, it's 5:30 to 6:30. The presentation this evening is on how to actually do a path, how to walk. I'm going to walk through a path. I'm going to show you what to look for, how to figure it out, and what will help make your experience better. And that way, I think getting over some of the common snags is really helpful to people when, you know, they can watch it and I can say, well, I did this and this happened to me. So for a while there, I called Toastmasters every day asking questions. So, and they're very good. They're very helpful, and they will help you and answer. They've answered almost every single question that I had right away, which is great. All right?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Anybody else?
Either they're all on mute.
Yeah, I just unmuted. I'll do a thanks, Tim. I'm going to check out now. So it's very helpful.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Hopefully I'll see you all tonight. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.